Hey guys, it's Saoirse, and this is the long-awaited I thru hiked the Appalachian Trail and I'm going to answer your questions video. Maybe it's just long-awaited to me, because I've wanted to do this for a while, and I wanted to first show off some books about hiking, because this is a book channel. So first I want to show you, this is the book that inspired me to hike the Appalachian Trail. Excuse me, buddy. It's called Halfway to the Sky. I read it when I was 11. I think it was in 6th grade for Battle of the Books. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's about a girl who's 12, I think, and she tries to hike the Appalachian Trail alone after her parents get divorced and her brother dies. And it really, really inspired me, and I already was very into hiking because my family has gone to North Carolina every year since I was born, and we hike Grandfather Mountain, and so I had this idea in my head that I could do that, and I wanted to do that, and I needed to do it, and I really can't explain. People ask me, why did I want to hike the Appalachian Trail? There's no real better answer than because it's there, but I don't know, there's so many complicated reasons, and it's something that I'm working out in the book that I'm writing about the trail, to try and figure out why it meant so much to me, because it really meant everything to me. I mean, I named my cats Springer and Katahdin, the first and last mountains on the AT. I've just been obsessed for as long as I can remember, and I've had this shirt probably since I was 12. So anyway, let's look at a couple other hiking books here. On trails, I got in Maine when I finished the Appalachian Trail. I got it in Portland, Maine. And this is an interesting nonfiction look at trails and like, not just like the AT, although he starts in the prologue talking about the AT. He talks about every type of trail you can imagine. I'm sorry, my cat is all over the place. Hey, buddy. So like from the beginning of time, like the way that animals use trails, and eventually like the way that we use them, like we use them for travel, and I mean not travel like I'm going traveling, like able to get across the land without having to bushwhack, like that kind of travel. And then it became more popular to hike for pleasure, like we do now. I have A Walk in the Woods, which is just fantastic. I read this many years ago when I first started researching the Appalachian Trail. And Bill Bryson, I've told you guys, right, that he is my favorite travel writer, and this book is laugh out loud hilarious, but also tells us a lot about the history of the trail, the importance of it, and that it really is in danger. Mostly just so many people using it every year, it gets eroded, and this is why people get confused about like why the trail is a different length every year. When I did it, it was 2,190.9 miles, and this year I think it's 2,192. So they have to reroute the trail, not always because of erosion, but like issues with like private property or, I don't know, wildfires. Things happen and the trail changes. So, oh my goodness, Springer, he's in control today. So this is a fantastic book. And I have Wild, which I actually only read after I got back from the trail. And I just wanted to like read somebody else's account of long distance hiking, to see what makes a bestseller about hiking, since I'm trying to write one. And I enjoyed this. I liked the way that she framed it, the way that she did flashbacks throughout her life and then brings you back onto the trail. And she didn't actually finish the Pacific Crest Trail, so I'd be interested to read books by people who did finish trails. Like Bill Bryson, he didn't actually do the entire AT. I think he did about like 800 miles in different areas of it. So neither of them finished, and yet two bestsellers for the two of the three big trails in the United States. The other one would be the Continental Divide Trail, which I don't really know anything about. And then I have AWOL on the Appalachian Trail, and I actually listened to this audiobook while I was hiking the trail, and that was kind of cool because I got to hear, I think I listened in like Virginia, And so I heard stuff about what I'd already done, and then I started hearing stuff about like Pennsylvania, and I thought, oh, that's like uncharted territory. I haven't hiked through there yet. So this was a good read by somebody who did finish the AT. So I guess I have read one of those. Just not one for the PCT. Oh, Springer's right on top of the book. That's okay, we've already looked at it. So I'm moving quickly because, you know, that I can only film for 25 minutes before my camera shuts off, and then I don't know how to edit videos together, so I'm gonna move right along here and answer some of the questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. And I'll try not to like go on and on about each one because I tend to just ramble, you know that by now. So let's just get started. Biggest mistakes new hikers make. I'd say having a certain expectation of how you think your hike is going to go, and not allowing for any change in that, because it will not go according to plan. Which luxury items were totally worth the wait? I didn't really want to have luxury items with me, so at the beginning I would say for like a couple of months I did have a really small book. It's one of those, I showed you like the flip back ones. It wasn't, well actually I did carry this one with me for a little bit, but then I gave up because it's just a really hard to comprehend book while you're exhausted at the end of hiking every day. But it was this size. It was Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen I read while I was on the trail. So that was a luxury item. Other than that, every like a week or so, anytime I'd go into town, I would just send home more and more things. So I was all about like keeping my weight down, trying to be as close to ultralight as I could, but I did my best. What made you want to hike the AT? Well, I already kind of touched on that. It was a lot of things, and part of it is like just never having any confidence whatsoever, like feeling totally insecure all the time, and like I've never accomplished anything, and I wanted to accomplish something. That was part of it. The rest of it is really kind of locked in my brain, and I can't say. It's just like the call of this trail. It's a magical place, and I don't feel that way about any other trail. Like the Appalachian Trail, everybody, you know, people who do like the PCT, it's so open and there's like these wide vistas where you can see everything, and the AT is more of a green tunnel. You're in the forest so much, and some people don't like that. But for me, like, there's just something so mystical about it. I don't know, I could go on and on about it. How did you keep your spirits up on the AT month after month? That was the hardest part, let me tell you. You think the AT is physical? It is. It'll wreck you. But it is so mental, because every single day you're hurting. And it's truly mind over matter, because you can keep going. Like, unless you have a serious injury, you can keep going. It's just going to hurt so much, and you're going to want to quit so much. But I don't know. I was going through a lot of really dark stuff while I was hiking this trail, just so you know. I was in a very bad place for most of it. And then when I got to Virginia, something like that really messed me up happened. The singer of my favorite band, Frightened Rabbit, passed away. And I like spiraled after that. And I just started thinking about everything bad in the world. And I don't know what got me out of it. I really, like, by the time I got to Vermont, that's when I remember feeling alive again, and like I wanted to make it. I don't know, I kept my spirits up by knowing that this was just what I always wanted to do, and like I couldn't fail myself, because that's what it would feel like, just an utter failure. I mean, this was what I wanted more than anything, so I really just wanted to prove it to myself that I could do what I said I was going to do since I was 11 years old. I don't know, it was truly a lot of mental work. What was the most valuable thing you learned after hiking all of Vermont? Okay, so this is a question about the long trail. So, like I said, I really felt like alive when I got to Vermont on the AT. So this year, I was like back in this dark place and thinking like I really need to hike again, and where should I go? I don't want to do a whole 6-month hike again. So I thought, oh, the obvious choice is to do the long trail, which is all of Vermont. It's from the Massachusetts border to the Canadian border. It's like 273 miles. So what was the most valuable thing I learned? I don't know, that I'm a lot stronger than I think I am. And that, like, I can do things alone, but that it's also good for me to talk to other people. Because I isolated myself a lot on the AT, and on the LT I didn't do that. And I really, really enjoyed it. Like, the experience on the AT probably would have been better if I had been more social and more open to that. Yeah. I'm planning on hiking the AT solo. Is it easy to find hiking partners? Yes. You'll find hiking partners. The amount of trail families that I met, yeah, you'll never be alone. How did you mentally prepare for a through hike? I didn't. I just always knew I wanted to do it, and so then I got all my gear and I did it. I didn't even physically prepare for it. So the first few weeks were absolutely brutal on my body. But if you are trying to mentally prepare, I don't know, just prepare to, like, be unprepared. Prepare for things to go wrong, which you can't really prepare for, so it's silly. Just kind of have, like, an attitude of, this is going to be a life-changing experience, no matter what happens, and take every day as it comes. How does distance hiking help mental health? So some days are different than others. Like, sometimes on the trail, I would feel so bored and angry and, like, I don't know, I would hate myself for feeling so weak. And sometimes that, like, long walking alone would really exacerbate that. But then other times, I would get to feel, like, so one with nature, you know, like, so at peace out there. And even though it was so hard, it was like there was nowhere I'd rather be. Because then you come back, all it takes is, like, one day hitching back into town for you to remember, oh my god, this is society, like, take me back to the trees. I don't know, I really think that, even if it's not long distance hiking, honestly, like, even like a weekend trip or something, just get out and camp for one night. It is so beneficial for your mental health. I think to remind yourself mostly of how small you are. That's something that really struck me. Like, anytime I stood on top of a mountain, I would just think about how my problems were so small. They were just ridiculously tiny compared to this vast world that I wanted to see and that I could see so much of from the tops of the mountains. I felt silly for worrying about things and for my insecurity, and, like, the world doesn't care about all of that. The world is just out there being majestic and gorgeous, and, like, it's our absolute honor that we get to explore it. And it would be a shame if we didn't. AT conditioning happened on trail. How did you maintain fitness for the LT? Okay, this is a good one because, like I said, I did not physically condition myself before the Appalachian Trail. As they said, I got fit on the trail. It kicked my butt. So how did I maintain fitness for the LT? Well, when I got back from the AT in September of last year, I just started going to the gym like crazy, and like 5 days a week when I could. And I tried my best to somehow keep up this level of motion that I was used to having, because I was used to hiking for 10 to 12 hours a day, up and down, like, because the AT's never like this. It is up and straight back down, and then once you get down, you're going straight back up. So I got back to flat Florida, and there wasn't much I could do, like, out and about to physically keep in shape, so I just went to the gym, and I really recommend that if you're, like, between hikes. Just keep up your physical activity. Even if you're not, like, a gym person, just keep moving. And so definitely, like, the first day on the long trail, I felt pretty, like, messed up, and I thought, I want to quit. I don't even know why I'm back in Vermont. Because the long trail is actually, it shares 100 miles of the AT. So I was repeating that first 100 miles that I'd only done like 10 months before. So I thought, I'm a little insane, but that's okay. But yeah, like, on the LT, I did it in 20 days and absolutely no 0 days. So you kind of just, you stay fit because you're like, you never stop. But I mean, you can do the LT with 0 days. That's no big deal. What do you wish you had known before hiking the AT or done differently in hindsight? I wish I had been more present I wish I had spoken to more people. That's what I would have done differently. That's probably about it. I would have just calmed down and enjoyed myself more, because I was so stressed, and a lot of it was like this fear that I wasn't going to make it, because I knew that any wrong move, one misplaced foot, that would be it. If I broke an ankle, if I got bitten by a snake and like died or something, anything could go wrong out there, and then that would be the end of my journey, and I'd never make it to Katahdin. And I knew I always wanted to do it in one go. I wanted to start at Springer, end at Katahdin, south to north, and I wanted to do it non-stop, and I did. It was from March 25th to September 25th, so exactly 6 months, and that was how I wanted it to go. But if I could do it again, I would have worried less. That's all I can say. On the AT, there seems to be lots of town stops for resupplies and zeros. How frequent are these? Pretty frequent. There's always towns that are, I mean, within a few miles. You're gonna have to hitch, or I don't know. It can be tough if you don't want to hitch. Really tough, because you're like way out there in the middle of nowhere, and like there are towns nearby, but they're miles away sometimes. So unless you want to walk to them, which kind of sucks, really just like get to know the other hikers on the trail, because like somebody's gonna have the information that you need. That's how I did it. I went into the long trail like I have no idea what I'm doing, how I'm gonna get like anywhere for resupplies, how I'm gonna get back to an airport after the trail, and it all just fell into place because I met people. So yeah, make friends. What motivates you to keep going back for more? That feeling. You can't get it anywhere else. Just the feeling of like every day you're so proud of yourself for getting through every mountain that you climbed, and then lying down completely exhausted in your tent or in your shelter or your hammock, carrying everything on your back. It's really freeing. So yeah, no matter how much pain it causes me, like I can always, after a couple of days even, like forget the pain and want to be back on the trail. Do you feel differently about your accomplishment now that some time has passed? No. I'm very proud of it. I still feel just as weird when people ask me questions. It's weird, because I feel like I'm no expert. I strapped on a backpack and I just walked, and that was really it. But I'm glad that you guys like care about this. I love when people tell me that I inspired them to hike, because that's huge for me. You know, like this book did that for me, and I'm so grateful for that. So if I can do that for anybody else, that's awesome. Did it become tedious, like a task to complete? Were you able to fully enjoy most of it? Yes, it became tedious. There are days when you are just like one foot in front of the other. I am an absolute robot. I am a machine that just walks and sleeps and eats so much, because that's the greatest thing. You can eat whatever you want. You can't gain weight. I mean, I couldn't. I lost about 20 pounds on the trail. I came back like 0 body fat. It was insane. So that's been kind of fun to maintain. Yeah, it does become tedious, and you have to remember why you're out there, and there will be moments like that when you're like, oh right, this is it. How do you prepare for long hikes? Kind of already talked about that. You just got to get the right gear, and make sure that you're safe out there. I've got bad knees. How do you deal with knee pain on the trail? Oh man, the knees almost ruined my hike. I almost had to go home many times because of the knees, especially in the first month. Look at these old knees. Come on, knees, why you do this to me? They were wrecked, like, very early on in the first week. And I just took a lot of ibuprofen, and I wrapped them like crazy. Like, find knee braces that work for you in these first few weeks of adjustment, and stick to those. And stretch. I never really stretched. You should probably stretch. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, just do shorter days. So I wanted to be pulling like at least 10 miles a day in the early days, and I was down to like 3 some days because it was so painful. Going downhill, it was like knives in my knees. So really just listen to your body, and eventually maybe you can take the knee braces off and it'll feel even better after your knees have gotten stronger. At least that's what happened for me. So I'm not a doctor, don't take my advice as gospel, but whoa, Springer. What worked for me was that I did all that, and then eventually I just, after like halfway, I took the braces off, and I felt great. The long trail wrecked my knees again, and then I recovered. Okay. Do you plan a certain mileage per day or end date, or just wing it? I originally wanted to do the trail in 5 months. Did not happen. I realized very soon it was going to take 6 months. No, I kind of just say, like, on the guide or on the app, the GPS app, Guthook, I would look at, like, a shelter that's, you know, say I wanted to do around 15 miles the next day. I would look at it, see if there's, like, a place to camp there, and then plan for that. And then if I didn't make it, I didn't make it. But you really gotta, like, be flexible in your schedule, because it's not always going to go the way you think. I really ran into that on the long trail where I was, I needed to do a 14 mile per day average to finish in 20 days, and it got like down to the wire, and I did a couple days close to 20 miles. How did you pick a pack that fit you well and could fit all your gear in it? Just go to a store that will like fit you. I originally got an Osprey at REI, and it did not work out for me because it was way too big. Like, you're gonna realize that you don't need as much as you think. So I ended up downsizing to a Z-Packs, which is a lot smaller and ultralight. So that's gonna be my recommendation to you. I know not everybody's into ultralight, but like, it makes a huge difference. I can't keep up my energy if I'm weighed down so much by my pack. So really just think light. Why don't you vlog your hiking? Good question. I like to be present, so I have a problem, you guys know, maybe, like, I have trouble staying present a lot of the time, so people who like vlog their entire hike, I don't know how they can maintain that. Like, I need to be there in the forest with the silence, and I only occasionally took short videos. Most of the time, not just trying to be present, but I was exhausted. Absolutely and utterly exhausted. I mean, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything drained. So for the people who can vlog while that's going on, good for you. But it was not for me, at least on this hike. So that's that. Before I finish up, I wanted to show you a couple things. This is my certificate of congratulations, which is for finishing the trail, and I cried when I saw this, just a little tear, because it meant so much to me, like, to be recognized by the ATC for accomplishing this dream that I'd always had since I was a little girl. It's really special. And then I thought this would be interesting. These are the boots that I started in. So these boots stood on Springer, and they got pretty wrecked by Pennsylvania. So by the time I got there, I had to order new ones. And so I went from the red to the green, same ones. This is Anu by Tiva, and they gave me absolutely no blisters. Blister free for 6 months. It was amazing. I gotta tell you, my secret is I Vaseline my feet every morning, and then I put on sock liners that have the toes separated, so you know those like funky looking toe socks? Those, the brand is Injinji. And then I put Darn Tough hiking socks over those. So with that system plus like these awesome boots, I never got a blister. And so the lack of foot pain was a huge relief, because that will wreck your hike. Like when I hiked in Scotland, I had major blisters and foot cramps from these awful boots, and every day was absolute torture. So if I'd had to deal with foot pain in addition to the body pain and like the emotional pain on the AT, woo! But these boots stood on Katahdin. They finished the trail with me. So I just want to say, like, I have 1 minute left. To anybody who is thinking about a long distance hike, stop thinking about it. Do it. Like, if you have the means, you have a way to make it happen. There's always a way to make your dreams happen, and if you want it bad enough, I promise you it's going to happen. Don't give up. And when you're out there and you are wet for a week and your feet are like turning into little trench foot claws and you can't dry out and you're freezing and it's windy and you're in a thunderstorm and you think you're gonna die, just remember why you're out there, and remember how big the world is and how big your life is. You know, it can be a lot bigger than you think. I really hope everybody gets out there and hikes. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. So, I'll see you guys next time. If you want another video about hiking where maybe I have some more time, let me know. But I try to keep it related to books, so yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. Thanks for watching. Bye.